Okay, guys, so this is a review on percents. Okay, so the thing to remember is that the word is percent, and a cent is 1/100th. So that's what that means, per 100. So most of the time, when I'm looking at one of these and it's giving me multiple choices, the first thing I want to do is write down what does it mean. So we said 33 per 100. That's what that symbol means. So I really have 33 over 100. Now, hopefully, you guys are doing some elimination. So in your science class, you've learned that's a temperature. That's 33 degrees. So that one doesn't work. And this is 33 divided by 0, which is undefined. Nothing can be divided by 0. So that one's not going to work. So it's up to this one, and this is up to C and B. And if I look, this is the one that it looks like. So that's what I should be doing. This is probably one of the mistakes people would make, but so this is not it. It's 33 out of 100. Okay? That's just a quick review of what you've understood. So when we look at this, consider the fraction 6 out of 200. We want to simplify that to be how many out of 100 so we can describe it as a percent. So you could use cross products, but for me, I'm looking at it and saying, look, I've got to multiply this 200 times 1/2 or divide by 2 to get 100. So I'm going to use scale factor here also. I'm going to multiply this times 1/2, and half of 6 is 3. So this is 3%. Okay, that should be a quick, simple review. But the main key here is that you understand that we're talking about that 3% is 3 over 100, which as a decimal would be 0.03, because that's the 100th place value. This is the 10th place value here. And that's our 100th place value. Okay, and so that's what it would look like as a decimal, right? So it looks like a fraction here, a decimal here, and 3%. Okay, that's just a review so you understand those things. If you don't understand those things, then there's some things we should probably talk about. Okay, we should review that because we're assuming you already understand these three ways of looking at it. Okay, so now we get to where we're going to actually use percents. Okay, so when we look at this, first of all, it's going to ask us to calculate the sales price. So we got to make sure you understand what the difference between a sales price is and the amount of discount. So if we look at the beginning, what we have is we have the total price. So from here to here is 100%, which is the total price. Okay. Okay. So that's the total price. And they say that we get a discount for 16%. And the regular price is $360. So that means our total price was $360. Okay. That's our total price. And they say we get a 16% discount. So if we're getting a 16% discount, a discount is when they take it off of the original price. So what that means for us is we're going to get 16% taken off here. And so now the real question is, what's our sales price? Because remember, our discount is here in this shaded area. Our sales price is what we wind up paying, and we want to know what that is. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. You can do one of two things, really. You can, and I've taught you, I'm not going to spend any more time on it than today on this one problem. is I've taught that there's two ways to figure out your sales price. Okay, you have sales price, and that's always going to equal the original minus the discount. Okay, and you can do that one of two ways. You could figure out the sales price percent by figuring out the original percent minus the discount percent, and then multiplying that times the original. Or you could figure out the original amount in the sales price in dollars by figuring out the original amount in dollars and subtracting the discount amount in dollars. And it does not matter which way you do it. Both ways, you're going to have to do some multiplication and understand your percents. So if I'm looking the sales price, if I look at it percent wise, my sales price percent is going to equal my original percent, which is 100%, minus my discount percent, which is 16%. And 100% minus 16% is going to give us 84%. So the sales price of the original. So if I look, that means I'm going to take 0.84, because that's the decimal version of 84%, times the original, which was $360. Okay. Which when I plug that into my calculator, I get that I am going to have 302.4. And some of you are going to give me that answer. You might give that answer on the task, but then you're going to notice it's going to ask you, because you need to have that hundredths, because we're talking about money, and so you need to be able to communicate to me that you understand this is going to be $302.40, not 4 cents. Because again, half the students that I ask, if I ask them is that 4 cents or 40 cents, about half the students at your age will tell me it's 4 cents. So you have to put that zero there to communicate you understand it. Okay, so I told you there was another way, and I'm not really going to spend a lot more time on this other way, but I'm just going to say we could have done this with dollars. So again, we said we're going to still have that the sales price equals the original minus the discount. Well, so if we're going to do this in dollars, we have to figure out the discount in dollars. So what we have to do is say, well, what is 16% of 360? Now, another way to calculate percents is, we've talked about this, is really you're just using the percent equation, because we're saying the discount is the part we're trying to figure out, and that's the percent times the whole. And you got to remember we're talking about the percent over 100. So the discount equals 16% times the whole, which was 360, which is 0.16 times 360, which is $57.60. And then what we have to do is, we're talking about money. So again, our sales price equals the original, which was 360, minus the discount, which is 57.60. And that means that our sales price equals $302.40. And notice we got the same answers. this answer and this answer are the same. So it does not matter which way you do it. I'm going to do half these problems one way and half of them the other, but there's only a few more problems, okay? But when we're doing discount, that's what we're doing. We're taking some off, because if you go to a store and it costs you more on a sales price, then you're going to the wrong store. Go somewhere else. That store is ripping you off. Okay, so as you look at this, there's the work up above. If we look at this and we just want to know what the sales price would be, then we would just subtract our discount amount from our original price. Okay, and so we do that subtraction to tell what the price is. But let's take this a little bit deeper. What percent discount did you receive if that's the price you got? So what we'd be doing is setting this up. Again, we want to know what percent, right? And we've talked about that you're going to have part over the whole equals the percent over 100. And we want to know what part did we take off. Again, we're going to have 194.12. That's the part. The whole is the original cost. So we're going to have that over 508.10 equals x over 100. Now you have a proportion. Now the easiest way to solve this proportion is to simplify. In my opinion, you're going to simplify this and then multiply both sides times 100. Okay, so when I take 194.12 divided by 508.10, I get that that's going to be 0.38205, la 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 la. Keeps going on, okay? But I don't need to go any further than this because I'm just trying to figure out the percent, right? Equals x over 100. So to solve for this, I'm going to multiply both sides times 100. And when I do that, I'm going to get that my solution here is 38.205, which is x, which remember this x is the percent. So that means I got a 38% discount. So let's just pause this for a minute. Tell me, what percent did you pay then? So you should pause it, think about this, and then tell me. Okay, so as you paused it and you went through and looked at it, and hopefully what you're seeing is, look, the original price is right here. And that's $508.10. That's 100% of the cost. Okay, they gave you a 38% discount. So the question is, what percent are you going to pay? So basically, if I take 100 minus 38, I get that I paid 62%. And my cost would have been then $313.98. Okay, now that's the whole picture of what a discount problem looks like. You have to, in any discount problem, you have to figure out one or the other. And if you can remember this map of it, then this is going to be, you're going to be able to set things up to solve. Okay, so now when I look at this problem, again, I'm going to draw a bar model out just to help you understand it. And I would say it's a valuable thing to be able to do on a problem. But when I read this, what it's telling me is that we're paying for a meal with a group of friends. They got great service, so he wants to leave a 20% tip. Now, the question we have to always answer was, first of all, it's going to be an add, right? Tip, tax, and markup are always going to be things that you add to it. So what we have to remember is we are adding a tip, and we're going to add a 20% tip. which means we're going to add this right here. So we're going to have a 20% tip. So that means we're going to add 20% here. And what we got to figure out, next thing you always have to look at, and they tell you it's before sales tax. And you don't pay tax on the tip, just for your information. But when we look at this, what we got to do is figure out how much did he leave for a tip. So all they want to know is how much was the tip. Okay, they don't want to know the whole price. Sometimes they're going to ask you, what's the total price? And what that means is, how much do you pay with the original amount and the tip? Okay, and they're not asking us for that this time. All they're asking us is how much is the tip. So again, we're going to go back to our proportion. I'm going to say, well, we could use a percent equation here. We could do one of two ways. We could do the percent equation, which is the part equals the percent over 100 times the whole. And we're trying to figure out the tip, so that's the part. And then if we look, we're doing 20%, so it's going to be 20 over 100 times the whole, which was $169.80. Okay, so if I'm trying to figure out what my part is, the tip is 0.20 times the original amount is $169.80, which means our tip is going to be $33.96. Now, generally, you're probably going to just leave $34 for a tip. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, that's so much, because you're seventh graders, and it is a lot for a seventh grader. But that's generally what you're going to have to leave for a tip. If they're asking you what the whole amount is, you would just add that to the original. See, but again, what we have here is we could say the total equals the original plus the tip. And like I told you before, you can either do this in percent or in dollars. So you could say that the total percent is the percent of the original, or the dollars in the original, plus the tip in percent, and or plus the dollars. It doesn't matter, because if I look, this is 100% of my original cost is $169.80. So if I'm adding on, if I add on the 20%, then really I'm paying 120%. So if they're asking you for the total cost, you can either figure out the tip in dollars, which we just did. The tip in dollars is $33.96, and so you would have added $33.96 to, we just said the total cost is going to be the $169.80 plus the tip, which is $33.96, which would give us $207 or $203.76. Okay, that's how we would have figured out the total. Okay, we could have also, though, looked at this and said, oh, well, we're going to have 100% plus the 20%, which is 120%. And then calculated what 120% of 169.80 is. So again, we could have, if we want to know the total cost, we could have said, well, that's going to be the total equals the original times plus the tip. And if we know that, we're saying this is 120% of the original, which was $169.80. There we are. There's our, and we just take 120% of 169.80, and we get that total is going to be $203.76. Oh, look, it's the same thing here as it is. We got the same answer here as we got here. It does not matter if you're trying to figure out the total cost, okay? It just doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you can do it. Okay, so when we look at this problem, it says the basket of goods is valued at $47.80. That's important for us. Okay, so we're going to look at this. It's $47.80 in 2011. An inflation rate for the year of 7%. What's the expected cost of the basket in 2012? So inflation means you're going to add something on. So we're going to add on 7%. And what they want to know is, what's the total amount? So again, we could do it one of two ways. We know that the original cost was $47.80. So that means this is $47.80 from here to here. This is our bar model, okay? And what we're talking about then, let me shade this in so you can see this bar. Okay, and we're going to add on 7% inflation, which means things got more expensive. So we're either going to add on our percents, because what that means is after inflation, we're going to pay 107%, because 100 plus 7 is 107. So we're going to pay 107%. Now, if that part just went over your head, then don't worry about it. Then calculate what that 7% would be. So if we look at this, we're going to have total equals the original plus the increase, or plus the change, right? Now, our increase happens to be inflation this time. Okay, so, and again, as I've told you before, you can either do this as a percent, figure out the total percent is going to be the original percent plus the amount of increase, the percent of increase, or you could figure this out with dollars by saying, look, the total amount I'm going to pay is going to equal the original amount I'm going to pay plus the increase that's going to be paid. And it doesn't matter. If I look at this, I'm going to still use the percent equation. You could use the proportion if you wanted. You could say, well, I'm going to have this out. I'm going to have part over whole and equals the percent over 100. Okay, so if I have that, then what I'm going to plug in is my part is I don't know yet. And my percent, my whole, was 47.80. My percent increase is 7%, but let's say, yeah, it's 7%, and that's always over 100. That 100 is always there. And we are trying to figure out that part, so we're going to say this is the part, right? Okay, so if I'm solving for that, then what I'm going to do is look at this, and I have, to solve for this, I can use cross products, or I could solve for P by multiplying both sides by 47.80. And 7 over 100 is 0.07, so I'm really going to multiply 0.07 times the 47.80, which is going to give me 3.346. Remember, we're talking about dollars, right? So we're going to round this up to be $3.35. That's how much it's going to increase. So that's this part here, $3.35. and 35 cents. That's how much it's going to increase. So to figure out the total, we have to just add that to the original. Remember, we take our total is going to equal the original amount of dollars plus the increase. So to simplify this, what we're going to say is, what is $47.80 plus $3.35? And that comes out to be $51.15. Okay. So we did it that way. Now let's look at the other way. If we would have said, well, we're going to have 107%. Now I'm going to use this percent equation on this. If I say, well, then my total is going to equal my percent, which is 107%. So 107 over 100 times the original, which was 47.80. Because I have my equation is that the total equals the percent times the whole, right? Which was the original. Okay, and then when I do that, I put 1.07 times 47.8, and I get $51.15. Oh, look, we got the same price. This was our price, and this was our price. Got the same answer. It does not matter which way you do it. You have to be careful. You have to look at it and see what it tells you. Okay? All right. Okay, this one's difficult. I'm only going to show you one way to do this. Okay? But again, you have to look at the picture of what's happening. So when we look at this, it tells us that first we're going to reduce the price, and then we're going to increase the price. What's the overall percentage increase? So I think the best thing to do first is just draw this out, because this is a hard problem. Okay, so let's just give ourselves a price. And I think the easiest amount I can think of is $100. So we're going to say that the original cost was $100. Okay. Now, and what they're telling us first is we're going to get a price reduction first. So that means they're giving us a sales price, right? And we have to figure out the sales price after the reduction. Okay, and then we're going to add 36% onto that sales price. So when we look at this, that means we're taking off 19%. Okay. Now 19% of 100 is $19. So if we look, that means we're paying 81%. And 81% of $100 is $81. We're just going to make this as simple as possible, right? Okay, so, and you understand that 100 minus 19 is 81, so that's why we're paying 81%. So this is our sales price. But what we have to do now is drop that down until we have a new whole, which is $81. And that's our new 100%. And they want to increase by 36%. So we're going to increase 36%. And what they want to know is, what's our new total? What's the new amount? Okay, and we started out with $81 is our whole amount, right? So this whole thing was $81. We either have to figure out what this amount is, the 36%, or we could look at it and say, well, this is 136%. Okay, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. So if you don't get that, what 136% is, let's just look at this and say, again, we're going to increase by 36%. We want to know how many dollars that is. So we're going to say, we're going to go again, we're going to take the amount of increase, right? We're going to have the increase equals the original times the percent increase. And really, we're just building this off of it's going to be the part equals the percent over, or percent times the whole. So we're going to figure out what our increase is. And our original here is the $81 times our percent increase is 36. So times 36 over 100. So I'm going to have that my increase equals $81 times 0.36, because that's what 36 over 100 is, which means my increase is going to equal $29.16. That's how much this is going to increase. So this increased right here, $29.16. Now I have to add that to my $81. So I'm going to have 81 plus 29.16, which means my new price is going to be $110.16. So this is $110.16. Now the question is, well, what percent of that is, how much overall percentage was that an increase? So this is really a deep problem, because now my question is, well, if I started out with so if my original was $100 and we increased that overall to be $110.16, then what percent increase was this? Because what we did was we increased it to be $110.16. We have to remember this was 100%. So we should, if you did it this way, then the number should be standing out, because really you're just talking about a $10.16 increase from the original price. So that's going to be a 10.16% increase. Now, if you don't know how I just came up with that, well, you look and say, well, how much was that increase? Well, from $100 to $110.16, that's a $10.16 increase. And if we just look at part over whole equals percent, we just remember that the part over the whole equals the percent over 100. Then that means we're going to say $10.16 over 100 equals our percent over 100. Oh, look, that's the same fraction. So this is a 10.16 or a 10.2% increase, because this number, the 100, is the same as the 100 here. So that number is 10.16% increase. Okay, that's how I would do that problem. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. That last problem is a booger. So I hope you do well on it. Hope it helps you, and good luck.